So I've got bad news, but I've also got good news. A month ago, I sat right here and told you that Colorado State had downgraded their hurricane forecast in June. And I told you that a quiet season like this one could end some adjusting careers. Well, CSU just released their July update, and they didn't just hold the line, they cut it again. The forecast now calls for one major hurricane. One. All season. When I dug into this report, here's what I found, and it's the reason to keep sticking around watching this video. The claims work didn't disappear this year, it has moved, and CSU's own data tells you exactly where it went. So in this video, I'm going to give you the 4-move playbook for being where the work lands, whether you've got 20 storms under your belt or 0, because good adjusters are going to quietly make 6 figures this year, and there's no reason that you can't be one of them. I'm Matt. I had 20 years in the field as an independent property adjuster, and for almost a decade since, I've trained new adjusters through Adjuster TV, graduates that top firms hire by waiving their experience requirements. First the damage report, then your real odds, then the playbook, starting now. All right, from CSU's July 8th forecast update as compared to the June forecast from a month ago. Named storms are cut from 11 to 9, hurricanes from 5 to 4, and major hurricanes from 2 down to 1. And the big one, the seasonal energy, or the ACE number, is cut from 70 down to 50 against a long-term average of 123. That's a season running at roughly 40% of normal. CSU's forecast went from below normal in June to, quote, well below normal. The landfall odds followed. So for the rest of the season, the chance of a major hurricane hitting the continental U.S. is down to 17% against the historical average of 43%. And a season with not one single major hurricane in the entire Atlantic basin is inside the forecast's own margin of error. So just like last report, El Nino is to blame here. The European model runs 51 simulations of the ocean through September, and every single one now exceeds the threshold for a very strong El Nino. That's 51 out of 51. And of course, the result is that wind shear. The September shear forecast for the main hurricane development region is the second highest since 1981. The only year higher than that was 2015, which was the last season before this past one, where we had 0 hurricane landfalls in the continental United States. So what does a season like this actually look like? Okay, so past seasons that most resemble this one are 1965, 82, 87, 97, 2009, and 2015. In those years, how many hurricanes hit the United States? Well, 3 of those 6 were 0, right? 2 more managed a single week category 1, right? So in 5 of CSU's 6 comparison seasons, the deployment phones barely rang for tropical weather or didn't ring at all. But that 6th year is why you never ever write the season off. 1965, big El Nino year, quiet year, but in September of that quiet year, Hurricane Betsy plowed into South Florida and then cruised over and smashed into Louisiana as a major hurricane and became the first billion-dollar storm in United States history. And here's the detail that should change how you think about being ready. Betsy was the second named storm of 1965. And that 1992 storm we were talking about, especially last time, Hurricane Andrew was the first named storm of 1992. So by this sort of pattern, in quiet years, you're not going to get a warm-up, okay? There's no guaranteed lull in the action to get your paperwork sorted while you wait for the tropics to blow up. The entire payoff of the season can be the first or second storm to blow up in the Atlantic or Gulf. If you think about it, most of the major hurricanes that we've had in the past 25 or 30 years have all been kind of in the middle of the alphabet, right? So Ivan, we have Katrina, we have Hugo, right? So on and so forth. Betsy and Andrew are right there at the very beginning. The first named storms turn out to be the biggest named storms. And hold that thought, because it's the whole reason for the playbook I'm about to give you. And one more thing from this report. The risk that does remain for major storms isn't spread evenly. Even in this forecast, Florida still carries a 49% chance of a named storm and a 24% chance for a hurricane. So quiet season or not, Florida is still Florida, and it's still a key license that you need to pick up. Okay, so the Atlantic is mostly kind of standing down, but this El Nino doesn't cancel catastrophe season. It actually reschedules it and kind of relocates it, right? An El Nino like this one doesn't peak in August, it peaks in the winter. And the last two El Ninos this strong, 82-83 and 97-98, will tell you what that winter looks like. So California gets hammered by back-to-back Pacific storms with flooding, coastal damage, mudslides, right? And this time, if with the wildfire risk being so high, whatever burns out west this summer becomes a debris flow scar when those winter rains arrive. Ice storms and winter events across Texas and the southern states, right? The catastrophic Northeast ice storms of January 1998 hit at the peak of the last El Nino this strong. Even Florida stays in play, just kind of not how you think. One of the deadliest tornado outbreaks in Florida history hit in February of 1998 in the middle of that El Nino winter. Meanwhile, the northern half of the country runs a bit warmer and drier. Worse news for the fire picture because a second week snowpack up here means the drought and fuel problem rebuilds and reloads for 2027. Listen, you don't have to wait for winter. Look what's already happened this year. We have had a lot of wind and hail and tornadoes all spring, all across the Midwest and even into the Rockies. Fires are already raging in several states, and that fire line is going to continue to march north through July and August as states like mine dry out and turn into tinder. Which brings me to the part of this video that matters the most, especially if you're new and trying to break into this business. Because I know some of you are looking at this forecast thinking you picked the worst possible year, right? Here's the truth. I didn't get my start on a hurricane. A lot of adjusters don't, okay? Hurricanes are the front door everybody knows about, but they've never been the only door into this industry. All right, so before we get into the playbook, I want to quickly let you know that I'm doing a live online Xactimate level 1 and 2 training to not only teach you the bells and buttons in Xactimate, but to teach you how to use Xactimate in the context of a claim. We have limited seats available for this, so snag yours now at adjustertv.com/train. So here's the playbook. 4 moves. Move number 1, up-level your Xactimate skills, right? The estimate is the job. In a lean year, firms are going to deploy the adjusters who close solid, accurate files fast, and they cut the ones who create rework for them. Software depth is the cheapest competitive edge in this entire industry, and you can build it from your kitchen table starting today. 2, get real training. The kind that firms actually respect, the kind that gets experience requirements waived, because in a year with 1 storm, nobody is taking a flyer on an unknown person. 3, on board with the IA firms right now, not when the call goes out, right? You can get on rosters today with nothing but your home state or DHS license, okay? All the background checks, a direct deposit, W-9s, profile setup, whiz quiz, all that stuff can take weeks. If you wait for a storm to start that process, the storm will be staffed by the time you finish onboarding. Ready now definitely beats ready later every single time. Remember Betsy, remember Andrew, first and second names on the list, okay? 4, stack your state licenses where the work is actually going to be. If this year's 1 storm shows up, it shows up on the saltwater states, right? So Texas to North Carolina, everything that touches the Gulf and the Atlantic, and then stack the western states, especially California. Fire season is blowing up out west right now. It's only going to get worse. And while we're on California, here's a bonus move that costs you probably nothing, okay? Once you have your California license, get certified with the California Earthquake Authority, the CEA, and you can look it up on Google super fast, right? But last I checked, that certification was free, and an earthquake is the one catastrophe that doesn't care about El Nino, doesn't show up in a seasonal forecast, and it doesn't give anybody a warm-up. If the big one hits San Francisco or LA, the only adjusters working it are the ones who are certified before, okay? It's a free lottery ticket. Take it. And listen to me carefully. This is not a broken year. This is the job. Professional adjusters deal with exactly this kind of a year, year after year after year. Feast, famine, repeat. Okay. You only need to get that first storm under your belt and do well on it. That's the unlock for all of this. Do a good job on storm 1, and you start getting the calls to the events that never make the news, where the experienced adjusters quietly work all year long. Because the truth is, Good independent property adjusters are still quietly making six figures, even in a year like 2025 and probably in 2026 as well. And you're not going to find these people complaining on Reddit or Facebook. Why? Because they're too busy working. CSU issues their final seasonal update on August 5th, and that same day they start publishing 2-week forecasts, the peak of the season. I'll be covering all of it, so subscribe now and you won't miss a beat. And if you want to get the best Xactimate training available, go to adjustertv.com/train right now and grab your seat with early bird pricing for my live online training before those seats are gone. And as always, thank you so much for watching and have a great storm.